Hey, what's up, guys? It's Mike from New England Mindfulness and Performance. I wanted to talk to you today for a little bit about perfectionism and compassion. And really, the intention that I have here is I want you to kind of recognize um, perfection when it comes and exactly what it does to you and when you feel it. And to see like clearly that perfectionism has its costs and begin opening, to the possibility that there's a way to get all the benefits without the cost. Right, and that's what we're going to kind of cover today. That's what I really want to talk about. And and then we're gonna go on and talk about compassion because they do go hand in hand, right? A lot of times people that insist on being perfectionists are really hard on themselves. And while we're doing this and while we're having this conversation, I know it's not a back and forth, right? But I want you to think like what experience do you have with perfectionism, right? And it's all different. Some of us have perfectionism in our personal lives, but only in our work life or only in our personal life. It's again different answers. But think about that as we're going through this. All right. What are the perceived benefits that you might experience or that you think you experience from perfectionism? Like why do you think we do this? Why do you keep doing it? What are the perceived costs? Right. Which are a lot, which we're going to cover too. But what are the perceived costs of your perfectionism? And where do you think your perfectionism comes from? Something you learned, something that was passed down, something you learned from a boss, a coworker, a parent, somebody in your family. Okay, so I want you to really think about your personal patterns of perfectionism. Really think about that. Okay, what do you strive for in perfectionism? Right? Is it during the same event at work? Again, is it in your personal life? Something to do with your kids? Something to do with your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend? Again, think about that as we're going through this, and you're all going to have different answers, and that's fine. First thing I want to do is dispel the myth that perfectionism is needed to achieve results or get motivated. It's not true. 100% not true. Okay. I know we think that because that's what was passed down to us, but the more research that's done on perfectionism and self-compassion and compassion, it's multiple surveys and multiple research studies have said it's just not true. Perfectionism is a personality disposition. It's like an approach to life that is characterized by striving for flawlessness. Right? Everything we do must be perfect. Exactly, no screw ups. Everything got to be right, exactly right. And then maintaining extreme performance standards. Just saying that sentence right there, that perfectionism is a personality, disposition, or approach to life that is characterized by striving for flawlessness and maintaining extreme performance standards. That sentence just sounds stressful, right? So there's often an assumption that one needs to be a perfectionist to perform at one's best and stay ahead of the competition. All right? Professional athletes will tell you this. Elite military, special forces will tell you this. Corporate elites will tell you this. It's just not true, right? That's the initial way that we think. But once we learn about compassion, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, you're going to see how much better that you'll achieve if you can start making that practice, which is where mindfulness comes in, which we're going to get to. So there's often an assumption that one needs to be a perfectionist to perform at one's best. Right? Perfectionism seems reasonable for an Olympic athlete that has a minute event, under a minute, 4 second thing, a track start. Okay, perfectionism makes sense then, but even then, in that less than a minute event, it's not possible. Right? It seems something reasonable maybe for a surgeon, right? Which I hope my surgeon one day is a perfectionist, but again, it's not feasible, right? Law enforcement, right? Split second decisions. Again, it's not feasible all the time. It's just not. It's not realistic. Perfectionism makes sense for surgeon, the Olympic athlete, but they still have a failure rate, right? They again, not all the time are they 100% perfect. It's just not feasible. The problem is that perfectionism doesn't work, right? And remember this quote, and obviously you can play the video back, which by the way, like and subscribe. My brother told me to say that. Okay, so perfectionism is not the same thing as striving to be your best. Perfectionism is the belief that if we live perfect, look perfect, and act perfect, we can minimize or avoid the pain of blame, judgment, and shame. It's a shield. It's a 20-ton shield that we lug around thinking it will protect us when in fact it's the thing that's really preventing us from flight. And that's from Brene Brown. And that when you read that quote, it's so true, right? It's a heavy weight that we lug around, thinking it's going to make us better when really it's what's hindering us, right, from taking flight, from actually performing at our best. So by definition, perfectionism, it's an unrealistic expectation. The bar is so high that you're never really able to succeed, right? So we're putting even more stress on ourselves. We set the bar way too high, leave no room for failure. And the problem with all that, though, is that it turns out that we are all human, right? Go figure. And so that's why it's just not possible. It reinforces that believed story of I'm not good enough, rather than being motivated by the high bar. Perfectionist people end up getting performance anxiety and choking, right? They begin avoiding risk, since failure at some point is inevitable in their eyes, right? And during one of my classes, just last week actually, it was a police sergeant. We were having the same conversation, the same class on perfectionism. He brought up a good point about he's saying that he's a perfectionist. And he wasn't saying it proudly. He was saying it as if like, help me, I'm a perfectionist and I know what's wrong after all these years. And I asked him, I go, well, how does that affect you? And he says what everyone says, and it's so true. And I'm only telling you this story because it's just evidence. But he's a perfectionist, and he admitted that he does not try new things or try to join different units or try to exceed outside the job because he's worried if he can't do it perfectly, then he'll just be down on himself and he'll fail. Right? So you see how that hinders somebody's life? Your life is so short, but yet you're not taking these steps and being courageous and going after these new approaches that really interest you, but you're scared you're gonna fail. I'll just stay right here at the bottom. I'll just stay home and just be safe. That's not the way to live, right? That's not how we want to live, right? So perfectionists identify with their results. They believe their value depends on how well they perform. If I won that championship, people would think I'm the best. If I got that promotion, people would think I'm awesome. I'd be so much better. I'd be a better person, right? And if I didn't do that, if I didn't get that, people are going to look at me like I'm a loser, right? I didn't win everything. I didn't do everything perfect. I didn't get 100 on that test. I didn't get the new promotion, even though I've only been here for a year. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I didn't win this. I didn't win that. People think I'm a loser. Now, is that how we want to think? Is that how we should think about ourselves? Because we messed up on something, or we didn't, succeed, once or twice, or every single time, every single day, be perfect every day and every time. That's not healthy, right? It's not healthy for our hearts. It's just not healthy for our bodies. It's not healthy for our minds. And it's definitely not healthy for the people around us, right? And a lot of us that have children, we're instilling this kind of morals and core values into our children, which you want your children growing up like that, right? Being so hard on themselves. Perfectionists tend to be overly concerned about the evaluation of others. The mind of the perfectionist is always comparing to fantastic standards and assuming that others are criticizing. That's our performance story that we tell ourselves. Criticizing them as harshly as they criticize themselves. This feeling that every move is being watched and scrutinized by leadership or peers leads to self-doubt and hesitation. Right? I'm not going to take the extra step. No, I want to do that, but I'm just going to fail. I'm going to stay here where it's nice and safe. That's not the way to live, right? That's not living life. And that's the problem. That's just being alive, but that's not living life. We miss out great experiences because great experiences that can really benefit our lives, further our minds and just make us healthier and just happier. And we don't take advantage of those opportunities because we're scared to fail, because we're perfectionists. Continually striving for perfectionism is an unsustainable effort. Perfectionists are prone to injury or burnout and have high levels of stress and anxiety linked with poor physical health. Right? Because we add so much stress to ourselves, right? Our heart's constantly going, our cortisol levels are through the roof because we put this stress on ourselves. And there's nobody to blame besides ourselves. We might be able to blame our parents, right, for passing that down to us or wherever we got it from. But at a certain age, we got to take accountability for our own actions and our own way of thinking, right? By now, you have the knowledge to know that it's not the right thing. But I also know it's easier said than done to rewire your brain and to change your habits. But obviously, as a mindfulness coach and part of New England Mindfulness and Performance is to teach these tools, right? So that you can get away from this and And you can, live healthier and happier. And that's really the point I want to get across. But so perfectionism is going to lead right into compassion and self-compassion. And I know probably anybody watching this, if you're watching a mindfulness video right now, this video, obviously you care somewhat about this stuff and about mental health and about being healthier and happier and about being more positive and more grateful, right? So I know that you all probably do have compassion, but do you have self-compassion, right? We always want to help out other people. That's like the American way. Let's help out other people, but are we willing to help ourselves? No, I don't want to let myself off the hook. But I'll help out you, but I'm not going to help out myself. Which in return is really going to do a job on us, right? So a unique feature of compassion to what you recognize your shared humanity with another person. To err is to be human. All right, let me say that again. To err is to be human. We all make errors. We all make mistakes. We all, have issues, and it's fine. It's fine and it's normal. So we're gonna show some self-compassion. We all fail, we all suffer, and we all want to be happy and perform at our best. You and every other human being has felt this way, and it's all right. Self-compassion is the same attitude, but turned towards oneself, right? Turn it inward. For many, this is a much more challenging endeavor, right? I think it's because we don't want to let ourselves off the hook. We feel like we're being too easy on ourselves. We're not holding ourselves accountable. It's not true, right? Get that out of your head, right? And hopefully, after this video or more of my videos, or wherever you get your mental health education from, or your mindfulness education from, or experience, you'll learn this stuff, right? And if you're not learning this stuff at those locations, you're going to the wrong coaches, right? But all I want you to do is be healthy somewhere, right? If it's not with me, then with somebody else. But get healthy. Self-compassion first involves being open to and aware of one's suffering, offering kindness and understanding towards oneself, desiring the self's well-being, taking a non-judgmental, right, attitude towards one's inadequacies and failures, and framing one's own experience in light and the shared human experience. So with that sentence right there, that small paragraph right there, involves being open to and aware of one's suffering. This is where mindfulness comes into play. Every video I say, mindfulness is about introspective awareness, right? Being aware of what's happening physiologically, connecting the emotions with what's happening inside, right? That's mindfulness. That's why you do mindfulness. You do it to build the prefrontal cortex, your thinking part of the brain, to take over from the limbic system, your emotional part of the brain. And when we do that, we're able to sense what's happening inside during these emotions, right? The emotions come from the limbic system. And so we're able to sense that stuff. And if we are having self-doubt, if we are being down on ourselves, well, we're going to sense that. We're going to sense what that feels like. All right. So now the next time it comes, we'll feel it approaching before it gets here, and we can make that shift. We make that change. Mindfulness and self-compassion are intimately related and rely on each other. Okay, you can't practice compassion if you've not noticed its need, right? Which kind of goes back to what I just said. We have to notice that it's here. We have to notice that we need it. We have to notice when we're being down on ourselves, right? We can't, if we don't notice that, how can we fix it? I don't get it, right? So it's important that we practice mindfulness and we have this routine so that we do notice it when it's happening. And that's what any emotion too, by the way, positivity, anger, all of this stuff, right? We don't get road rage on the side of the road of 93 South going into Boston on a Monday morning, right? Because we feel it coming. So we're going to calm down. We're going to put the coffee down. We're just going to relax, okay? So mindfulness practice is noticing the various sensations of pain and be willing to stay with them and explore them as they change. Right? Self-compassion practice is seeing your reactions to being with pain and choosing to respond more effectively, doing less harm, being more supportive towards oneself. A dialogue would be, hey, I didn't get that. I didn't get that promotion. I know I didn't win. I know maybe I screwed up a little bit. I could have done better for sure. Next time, what I'm going to do better, I'm going to study more. I'm going to prep more. Next time I'll be ready. I'll be better. That internal dialogue is much better than, Mike, you screwed up. You should have gotten that promotion, but you can't do anything right. You're a loser. Hey, what are you doing? Why even apply for the next promotion? This is stupid. You can't do anything right. Which conversation right there do you want to have with yourself? The first one or the second one, right? The second one's not healthy. But a lot of us, again, we get down on ourselves. It's not good. It takes a toll on us, even if we don't realize it. It adds up, right? The body keeps count, or the body keeps score. It's so true. There's a common misconception that self-compassion is indulgent and undermines personal motivation. This old school perspective assumes that motivation is generated exclusively by reward or punishment. Right? And it's not. That's not why we're motivated. Yeah, we want to make more money. Yeah, we want to get the promotion, but that's not the only reason, right? The drive to beat the competition and avoid the shame of loss. The fear that makes the inner critical coach tolerable or even necessary is, if I didn't beat myself up, I'd never get out of bed. I just eat cake all day and binge Netflix, right? Because we're beating ourselves up that we don't deserve anymore. We don't deserve better. We're not worthy of it. But reward and punishment are relatively weak and unsustainable extrinsic motivators for success, right? The truth is that higher levels of self-compassion are associated with greater intrinsic motivation and more significant personal initiative. Intrinsic motivation is the purpose-filled drive that comes from within. It's a desire to perform for the sake of performance itself and for the love of the process. Right, we want to succeed because we love what we do and we love what we're doing and we want to be the best at it and we do want to succeed. However, the number one athlete in the world isn't perfect. The number one doctor in the world isn't perfect. The number one anything in the world or people that you know still messes up and still isn't perfect at their job or in their personal life. I know what Instagram looks like and what Facebook looks like, but those aren't real, right? The real person is not perfect all the time. It's just not. It's not true. We see that and we want to strive for that. But it's not, right? It's really. Remember what I said earlier about that 20-ton shield? That's what it is. So the truth is that higher levels of self-compassion are associated with greater intrinsic motivation and more significant personal initiative. All right, because we're not so beat down. We have that self-dialogue with ourselves. We pick ourselves up. We have accountability and we move forward. All right, that's why self-compassion is how you grow and how you move forward. Intrinsic motivation is a purpose-filled. It's a desire to perform for the sake of performance itself and love of the process. This increase in motivation is because self-compassionate people berate themselves less when they fail. They're less afraid of failure and more willing to take on new challenges. Just because I failed once, that doesn't mean I just stay put in this seat in this one spot. No, I failed. Yeah, okay, 10-4. I failed. Roger that. I'm going to apply for the next one. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to get another degree, right? I'm going to improve myself in this manner. Right? I'm going to go to the gym more. I'm going to study more. I'm going to get another degree. How's that? Right? I'm going to move forward. Yes, I failed, but it's okay. I know what I got to do now. I'm going to move forward. Much healthier, right? Much healthier than, fuck it, I screwed up. I'm not worth it. Much healthier, right? Then other research has shown that self-compassion works better than perfectionism, right? It can occur even in the presence of high levels of performance or set standards. Self-compassionate people aim just as high, right? Because they're not scared to reach. They're not scared to go for that next level just because they fell once. It's associated with low levels of failure. It decreases rumination, right? I'm not dwelling on my failure, dwelling on the past. I'm going to move forward. It's associated with lower levels of stress, reactivity, and decreased cortisol. Cortisol is what really, does the number on our bodies. So we're almost done right here, but I want to leave you with this. Michael Jordan lost like over 300 games in his life. He's missed like 9,000 shots, something like that. Can you imagine if he didn't have self-compassion and didn't give himself those self-positive talks and wasn't mentally tough and resilient? There wouldn't have been a Michael Jordan. We would have never heard of him. And there are people in your lives that have been through a lot of stuff right now. Can you imagine if they just sat put? And I'm not prepared to go through my story, but can you imagine if I just sat put? No, right? That's not what I teach my kids, and that's not what I'm going to do. And that's not what I want for you to do. What I want for you to do is to recognize really how awesome you are, because for one, you're even thinking about this stuff, right? You're even thinking about moving forward. You're thinking about going for the next level. So I know you're not lost, right? But I'm telling you this so for your own knowledge, but also so you could tell others. Spread the knowledge to other people that you see just, staying put and just sitting there settling, right? That's not the healthy way to be. So perfectionism, not real, right? We're going to summarize. Perfectionism, not real. not realistic. All right, so get that out of your head. That doesn't mean accept mediocre. 100% strive to be the best. Of course, strive to be the best, but don't be so hard on yourself, okay? Use some self-compassion. It's going to make you healthier. It's going to make you grow and move forward. No matter what you do, from any video that you see of mine, and anything that you do, no matter what happens in life, move forward. Crawl forward, inch forward, sprint forward. I don't care what you do, but continue to move forward. That's the important thing in life, and that's what you all need to do, because people around you are counting on you, but more importantly, you are counting on you. Okay? Don't settle. All right, guys. That's all I got. I guess I'll see you in the next video. Okay, this is Mike from New England Mindfulness and Performance. Please like and subscribe. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.